And welcome to Confidence Sharing, where we, the men of a certain age, share our thoughts, ideas, and opinions in confidence. And today we are joined by the whole crew. We have Rhino, we have Sean, and we have Terrence. So let's go one by one. Say hello to everyone. And hello, Rhino.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Sean.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing?
And hello, Terrence.
Greetings and salutations, good people.
Thank you. And today we continue our series of the 10 Men Commandments. 10 things that all men should know, or 10 things that all men should have. And today we start with number 8. Be in control. Men should be in control. So, with that being said, we're going to pose the question out to everyone. Why is it important that men be in control?
Can I preface this a little bit with being in control? I want to clarify being in control a little bit, because some might hear that and say, well, why men got to be in charge of everything? Why can't women be in charge? That's not what we mean when we say be in control. I think be in control is an internal thing, as far as a man should be in control of himself and not allow his feelings and his emotions or his ideas not get too far gone. Because as we were preparing for this episode, the very first thought that came to my mind was, if I'm not in control of myself, what is, or who is? And that can be problematic. In regards to if I'm not in control of myself, that means there's some outside external force that is. And it could be, an addiction to all kinds of various things. And addictions are for sure a serious issue that people struggle with. And for those reasons, it's really, if possible, super important to be aware of that and conscious of being in control of yourself. So I just want to preface the in control thing so no one misunderstood what we meant when we said that, because that could totally go left and completely create a different chain of events.
No problem. Appreciate the add-on. I personally didn't care, but hey.
I was thinking.
Someone gets offended. Forget them. But anyway,
I'm just saying.
Hey, I really do appreciate it, because that is where we're going with this. It is not being in control of everyone else. It's more being in control of self. That's where it starts. That's where it begins. Because as a man, you're expected to lead. You're expected to be a leader. You're expected to be a provider. You're expected to be a producer. And you can't do any of those things if you're not in control of you, right? I agree with Terrence where he said that if you're not in control, then what is? What if you're not running your show, then what is running your show?
See, I was on to something.
That's very correct.
No,
Either
that's
you're in control or something else is in control. And if something else is in control, you should understand that you have the ability and the wherewithal to get control. Now, as a Christian, the Bible, mankind seemingly starts, let me rephrase that. Mankind starts with his lack of control. God put him in the garden. He told the man, if you eat from this tree, that's the day that eats from this tree, thou shalt surely die. Stay away from the tree. And man, we see, didn't necessarily lack control. He really didn't want to control himself, because he wanted to taste that fruit. He was curious about it. That's why the Bible tells us that it was the woman that was the seed and not the man. Adam stood by his wife knowing exactly what was happening. Excuse me. And ever since then, the struggle for men seemingly has been self control. Controlling yourself, controlling our passions, controlling our desires, controlling our finances, controlling our lives. Because if we're not in control, someone or something else is going to be in control, and it will run us ragged if we let it. But we have the ability, we have the power, we have the authority to take control and to straighten ourselves out. From my personal experience, I've discovered that I've had to remove myself from certain situations in order to gain control of myself. I've had to put myself in a place where that which was controlling me was not so plenteous, and I could focus on correcting and fixing me. That goes without saying. I had to maintain this thing when I was around that which troubled me. But at the end of the day, I was able to gain control and keep control, and by the grace and mercy of God, maintain that control. But it's a struggle every day. It's a struggle in that a part of you might want to go and drink like a whole container of alcohol, but you stop and you think, oh, I can't do that, because that would spin me out of orbit. That would cause me to get out of control and lose sight of my goal, which is to be in control and to get to that perfect place that I want to be at. So you've got to every day make the choice to control yourself.
This is true. I think I'm glad I'm in the middle here with this, because if I had started off, you guys might have had that firestorm you were talking about. But I'll explain that a little bit on the back end. No, and you mentioned, and like you said, what I think of, and I think it was mentioned just a little bit earlier, what I think of when you guys are saying it this way is self-control. That's basically what we're talking about, being able to control oneself. Because again, I've said this before, you can see how it can go left when you're not in control, right? If you're not in control, something else is in control. Or if you allow something else to be in control, someone else to be in control, it's just like being on a roller coaster. You can't steer it. You know what I mean? You don't know where it's going. You don't have anything to do but hold on and scream and ride and hold on for the ride. So that's not where you want to be when it comes down to in terms of life. Our ancestors from back in the day had to. That's my biggest hats off respect to them, is their self-control that they had to have to go through what they went through for us to be able to get here, and not turn it into something where we just got war and wiped out. You see what I'm saying? Or something to that effect. It turned into things that they've done before. They had all the guns and the control and things of that nature at that particular point in time. So if we had maybe stood up and rebelled, it might not have went the way everybody thinks it would have went. You know what I mean? So it took more self-control, just like it does nowadays, to not smack a person, hit them, go off, lose your whole temper in the wrong way in the middle of Starbucks. It takes more effort to do that than it does to be in control from that standpoint. And then on the back end, and I love Rhino's analogy about the Adam and Eve story, because that's one of the things that I always do think of too, in that covenant, that Adam had with God. And it was that, basically I always think back to, they wasn't even in trouble until Adam messed up. They were good until Adam messed up. She can do what she wants. But when you messed up is when the storm came and the lightning came, and I came down here and said, okay, doggone it, I told you. Yeah, I know, but she said no, but I told you. Which means, and which tells me, to go back to this tinderbox I was talking about, that we also should and are, in my opinion, after you put God first, so when we're the lead of our families, you know what I mean? That man is head of household, He should put God first. Don't get me wrong. And a good head of household is going to respect and listen to the family, but be in control. And I do believe that. I think that lesson is that I wasn't mad until you didn't control this situation. Somewhere in between there. I'm not saying that the Lord was advocating, you should have smacked her. I'm not saying that. I'm definitely not saying that at all. But you should have found a way to control the situation and do what I told you to do. So I still think it means in our households as well, as men overall as well, that we should be in control in that way as well.
Okay, so I want to jump in right behind Sean because I want to touch a few things that Rhino said as well as Sean said. The whole Adam Eve story, right? And the idea that Adam was found to be responsible. That the blame was put on his shoulders, right? So, okay, it's 2021. We've made it a long way. We've had stride. We've made strides as men and as women, as for us, people of color. And we would like to think that things are modern, things are equal. They're not. The reality is that this goes out to the men if you're listening.
Okay.
So I believe that women are smart, intelligent, beautiful. They are capable. They can do many, many things. But men, when the rubber meets the road, it's on you. Right? If the house fails, it's on you. If the children don't eat, it's on you. If the bills don't get paid, it's on you. This is in no way diminishing her contribution. This is in no way saying that she is any lesser of a person. But understand that you're going to eat that L. That's going to be your loss, right?
Absolutely.
You share the wins. That loss is yours by yourself.
Right.
I think Allen Iverson said something about that. But that's why it's so important to be in control, because you have to know that as a man, you don't have a safety net. You have to know as a man that you don't get a second turn at bat. Sometimes you don't even get 3 strikes. Sometimes you get 1 swing. You either hit it or you don't. And you might not get a chance to get back up again and swing. So that's why it's so important to be in control, be on top of yourself, be the best you that you can be at any given point in time, because you're going to need to be the best you can be at any and every given point in time, because those are the only times you have. You're not going to get a second shot. And I'll pause there to let someone else speak.
Well, I was thinking in terms of being in control. This is, we've been kind of speaking about it in kind of a broad sense, and there is the idea of the man controlling himself and being the head of his house and being that leader, but there's a lot of subtitles under this thing. Being in control of your finances, not being just spending money helter-skelter when you don't have it, gambling your money away when you still got a family to take care of. But there's also controlling the narrative, and that's what stood out to me the most, especially when Sean started talking about the things that our ancestors went through. Because if you haven't noticed, we've been led to believe that slaves were just subservient, and if they ran away, they got caught, got their foot cut off, and then they came back and they stayed and served. But what was hidden from us was the amount of rebellions that took place. and not just about slavery. There's also the feminist aspect of this. Feminism was born out of something. It didn't just come up out of nowhere. It wasn't just women just being rebellious. It started because men, in their effort to be in control, got out of control being in control. And it forced these women into this position. And now, granted, we listen, we understand, and we try to adjust, but excuse me, what's in the air tonight? But that was a long ways coming to bring us to the place that we understand, and we got to the place now that we don't really want to offend, but controlling the narrative, knowing why things are the way that they are, so that we don't repeat the sins and the crimes of the past. That's being in control. You knowing what the battle was in the first place, and knowing what to avoid to keep the effect of reliving or redoing the same past crimes over again. Knowing, controlling the narrative. If you think about it, in war, we look at history, we just kind of have to accept what it says if we don't really dig and do our research. But history is written by the winner. You go to other countries and ask them about what happened in the war, and they'll tell you a totally different story. So we've got to be in control of our narrative. We've got to know where we came from and how we got where we are, so that we can know where we're going. And I'll leave it open for anyone else to
Okay, so excuse me, the host, for trying to pull it, because Ronald said something that I think has sparked a really good question. When he mentioned about women's fights for rights and how they were under the control of men, right? What is the difference between being in control and being controlling? Because I think that's a huge thing. Like, you want to be in control, but you don't want to be a controlling person or a controlling man. So what are your thoughts on that, fellas?
When I hear controlling, I hear domination, like, being almost like we've kind of hinted at that master-slave kind of relationship, and without straying too far into murky waters on dominant, subordinate type stuff, the difference between being controlling and in control means a person who's in control is conscious. And what I mean by conscious is they're aware of the control and the way that they are utilizing their self-control first. Being in control sometimes means exhibiting restraint. I think Sean alluded to that a little bit with some of the things he was referencing with regards to our ancestors and things that people have gone through in history. A person who is in control also is able to manage that control and be able to decipher when it's appropriate for them to take the lead and when it's appropriate for them to say, you know what, this person might actually be better skilled in this particular moment to assist, and I can stand down and say, here, lead us through this patch. Once we get through this patch, I take my spot back, so don't get comfortable. But I'm leaning on you. And now they may not say it that way, don't get comfortable, but just kind of make their point and defer without being a jerk about it. And that's the main thing. I think that bottom line for me boils it all down and sums it up really well. Person in control is a person who's able to lead, who's able to, inspire, who's able to get the best out of people without being a jerk.
I like that.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It really does. It really does.
It's also the security factor too. A man that's insecure is going to have a hard time being in control because he's going to feel threatened at every turn, and he's going to have to trust somebody. If you can't trust your wife, then maybe you should be married.
But that also speaks to that idea of what's in control. Is he in control, or is his insecurities in control?
And I think it also crosses over. That's definitely when you get to controlling. I think insecure men wind up being controlling because of the fact that they're trying so hard at the control. They figure, if I don't hold this with both hands and make sure to hold on tight, it's gonna slip out of my grasp. So they do everything they can, and they disregard, including disregarding, the feelings of what you're holding in the cage, how you're treating it, what the look on his face is, the tears coming down his eyes, the fact that it wants out. And you are ignoring all of that in order to keep control of the situation. To me, again, and you've heard me guys say this before, the difference between control and controlling, and is a little bit of, there's some selfishness in there, that and selfishness to the point, like I said, of ignoring where the person is. I'll go back just to reiterate something I did say earlier in the recording. A good head of household, in my opinion, a good person in control, is aware of the people that he has on his team, so to speak, say it that way, and knows how to actively weigh out, when it is, like Terrence was saying, when it is to be arbitrary and say, I need this to happen right now this way, or also, and meters out, okay, you know what, I got it. That last time, even from a standpoint of just doing something simple, like, okay, this time it was everything I said. We was moving, and I said we was moving. We tried it. We went to Dallas. We winded up back home with your mom's scraping, trying to put it together. So the next time that, we get ready to go, and it's like, oh, okay, I got this job over here. We going? Wait, let me listen. Let me think. Because there were 4 people in my family, my kids, my wife, telling me, don't just make this move like this. So maybe next time, knowing the difference, knowing to sit down and say, okay, babe, what do you think? Kids, what do y'all think? Take that, put it in your pocket, and then you go to Alabama. I mean, you might still wind up going to the next place and doing what you wanted to do, but you put it in a pot, you listen to your people, and you figure out which way to proceed from there.
Okay, so I'm hearing a lot of consensus. I'm hearing a lot of what I'm hearing is the difference between being a leader and being a tyrant or a dictator, right?
Basically.
Like, a leader is going to be in the fight with you, and they're going to lead by example. They will be the first one out the door, and they're going to basically be beside you, be with you in the struggle. Whereas a tyrant is basically just going to say, this is what I want you to do. You go and do that, and bring me back, the spoils.
I don't care how you get it done.
I don't care how you get it done.
Just get it done.
Don't care what happens to you when you get it done.
In between it, you came back on a slab, got it done. But he got it done, Your Honor. Yeah,
I brought it back.
Fire.
I'm missing a leg, but I brought it back. Good.
Slap a medal on his chest and give his family up.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like, give him a crutch. I got another job for him.
Basically, yeah. Walk it off.
He was pretty good. Does he have a son? Give me your son.
Right.
Does his son have the attributes he had? Not a problem. Bury him. Bring me a son.
Make a whole army of hymns.
But to get back to the point, it is so important to be in control because there's so many things in the world that can distract you. There's so many things that could get you out of control and get you to the point where you become that insecure tyrant and you become controlling. So it's good to have. That's why we are the men, plural, in confidence. You know, you need other eyes, other ears. You need other people to check you to make sure that you're running your country correctly. Like
now, for the bracket, I do want to also say this, because we do a lot of talk about being in control, and this tends to be built around the structure of family or a relationship. Sometimes just being in control of yourself is a very important thing, with irregardless of relationship. For example, if you're in a social setting or a work setting and something happened that was like upsetting, a person in control is able to be in that situation and not lose my mind up in here,
right? Yeah, right. Middle of Starbucks, just
yeah, you just can't just lose it on a whim because, oh well, so and so did this to me, so dude scuffed my J's, so I had to let him know, you just don't do that. I paid $200 for these, bro. You have to, we can't have,
no N-word moments.
Exactly. That took the words right out of my head.
Right.
They can't have no N-word moments. Shout out to the Boondocks.
Exactly right.
Because
yes indeed.
Yeah, because
that
N-word moments.
That secure man knows I don't have to respond to this.
Right.
That's right.
And I don't have to respond to it right now. I don't have to respond to it negatively. There's a properly balanced way to work through this. Losing my cool isn't it, because I'm in control.
Let me just add how important it is to be in control, because as a man, you can lose your life for a moment out of control. You can lose your family. You can lose your money. You can lose your job. You can lose your children. You can lose so much. And you could be in control 90% of the time, 95% of the time. But if you're out of control that 5%, that 10%, you could drop everything in that small moment. That's why it's so important as a man to be in control, because it feels like you daily face things that are trying to knock you out.
I was just kind of taking in what you said and was like, there's that's super true. It's just admittedly a tough thing to do and balance being in control 100% of the time, because at the end of the day, nobody's perfect. And
True.
We want to give grace to the fact that you're going to slip. You're going to have moments where, things make you get outside of yourself, and it happens. It's just the idea or the takeaway here should be to try and be as in control as much as possible, because there is too much to lose otherwise.
Especially if you're an at-risk person. Excuse me, I kind of butchered that. Forgive me, I am working on myself. But
You're
if you're
human.
An at-risk person, you should know the chips are stacked against you. Whether you, and believe it or not, it doesn't really matter your race, but sometimes race is implied in there. If you're a young black man, they expect you to be hood. Understand that. If you're a young white man, they expect you to be a certain way as well. It doesn't matter what your race is. Understand the chips are stacked against you, and if you're not in control, you're gonna lose something. And hopefully, it's not your life. Hopefully, it's not your job or your family or career or whatever. Just understand when you're that at-risk person that you have got to be better.
Okay. So, go ahead, Sean.
No, go ahead. I'm good.
No, I was thinking of first of all, I was thinking of wrapping it up, but also I was thinking of we've been saying a lot of be careful, don't do this, don't a lot of, and me especially, a lot of be careful, you can lose it all at the drop of a dime, but we want to say how positive it is to be in control, right? Being in control
Good point.
will keep you not fear is coming, dodging evil, every step of the way, but it will keep you out of a lot of drama. Some people have drama in their life not because it's coming at them, but because they're going towards it, right? It'll keep you out of a lot of static. It'll keep you out of a lot of BS, barn stuff,
Bull stuff.
Yeah, bull stuff, and it will keep you from a lot of trouble in your life. It will make your decisions easier. It will cut down on your stress if you're in control of yourself. And I don't want to emphasize being in control of your household or your loved ones or your job or your community or anything like that. I think it starts like what Terrence was aiming. Being in control is more about being in control of you, because all of that radiates out, right?
Right, that's true.
If you're not in control of you, you're not going to be in control of anything in your life, right? So just focus on running you efficiently, on being the best that you can at being you, and it will trickle into everything you have in life. And
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, because you just reminded me of something that came to mind, honestly, when we first started talking about all of these, that whole being in control of you. I am the one thing in life I can control. I mean, that sums it up. You develop a sense of self and a mastery of self. You feel comfortable in your own skin. You are aware that things, when people try to tear you down, you are so self-assured that certain things just don't bother you. They don't register on your radar because you're above that. You're in a completely different zone, and you're able to shrug off things. You're able to deal with hard times, because hard times still come to people who are in control. But because you're in control, you have the confidence, the peace within yourself to be able to level-headedly get through that situation. And it, again, like everybody has kind of said, it radiates outward. It radiates outward in a way to where people are drawn to you. People notice. It stands out. It makes people take notice, and they either want to get closer for, sake of trying to be like, or just be in the presence and learn, or just kind of be in that energy. People want to be around good vibes. So, yeah, absolutely.
People are watching. They're watching. I remember I was going to work one morning with a guy, associate of mine, and somebody cut him off, and he just looked, and he just kept driving. And I looked at him like, dude, I really appreciate the way you handled that. You were totally in control. And he was like, no, I was. He let me know that he wasn't in control in that, it did bother him, but, he didn't respond to it. And I appreciated the way that he responded to it. He just didn't outwardly get mad and try to chase the guy down. That, probably caused more trouble. He just understood, hey, people are jerks in the morning.
People are jerks in the afternoon. They're driving. Driving, man. We could probably do a whole podcast just on and that's another thing. Be in control. Control your road rage. That's great. That's outstanding and fantastic.
Tune in 2022 through 2024
Yes,
for
indeed.
people that drive poorly.
Oh my God!
And why do they do
Each individual city, which cities of the world?
Oh gosh.
But,
Oh
like,
gosh.
but like
Look,
Terrence is
North,
saying,
south, what is it, right? West
like Terrence
Coast,
is
East Coast.
saying, I am the one thing in life I can't control.
I love it.
I can't
love
control how other people respond. I can control how I respond.
I love it.
exactly.
Another shout out to Manuel. We appreciate you so much, my friend. We really do. You can tell we love it.
Okay, so I think we've had a pretty good episode. We've talked about being in control of ourselves, everything around us, and the positives and negatives of it, and how important it is. And it always comes back to this: how important it is to have that circle that can check you, to keep you in control, and to keep you from getting out of control. Keep you from becoming that evil tyrant sitting on top of a throne and barking orders at people. But we're going to wrap this session up and be prepared again in another week for number 7. You have to watch it to see what it is. But on that note, I'm going to pass it over to Terrence for our closing.
Of course. And as always, people, we want to say thank you for listening. Like, share, and subscribe. God bless you. Good night.
Peace.
We out of here.
Peace. Everybody have a good evening, night, day, whatever time you listen to this. Have a good one.
Yes.